So in this video, we have two big topics to discuss. The first being the NPD results for August 2018. We're going to go over the hardware and the software, and a little tease here, a game from 2009 made its way in the top 10. I wonder what it could be. And then we're also going to delve into Capcom shutting down their Vancouver studio, potentially ending Dead Rising forever. What is going on, guys? Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, back again. Another video. So another month, another NPD video. I do this every single month. It's like talking about the video game industry and how healthy it is. PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. I'm on VentureBeat, so you can see the information for yourself. So I don't want anybody to accuse me of making things up, so that's why I show it to you guys. The headline is, of course, Madden #1. No surprise, as it's been like #1 every single August. Since eternity, I don't know, since they started making the Madden games pretty much. But let's get down to the actual information here. Here are the numbers for August. Total is 796 million, which is up 26% from last year. Hardware is up 28% from last year. PC and console software is up 16%, and accessories are up 40%. So you can see the video game industry is doing remarkably well. Normally in a slow month. This is August. The only big release was Madden. People are kind of waiting for that Spider-Man bomb to see what it sold. And if things hold, I would expect Sony to announce Spider-Man sales on Friday or Thursday of this week. They usually do it 2 weeks after a game comes out. So be prepared for that. And then, of course, next month's NPD is going to be pretty good because that's going to be Spider-Man month. So here's how 2018 is comparing so far to 2017. Total's up 17%, hardware's up 22%, PC and console software up 6%, and accessories are up 33%. So when anybody tells you the video game industry is dying, you can just laugh in their faces. You can tell everybody's making money, everything's going well. Now software. Now this is, usually has a couple surprises every single month. Madden NFL 19 being #1 is not a surprise. And before we even delve into that, I have to read this part here, because people still will come at me and say it doesn't include digital. So for those people that maybe are a little slow to pick up on, their reading comprehension or just don't believe me, let's read what it says exactly right here. NPD tracks physical sales at retailers, but it also gets digital data directly from publishers. But not every company participates. For example, Nintendo doesn't share its first-party sales, and Activision Blizzard does not provide its Battle.net sales. So when you see these asterisks, a 2 asterisks here or a single asterisk here, come down here, means no digital sales, no PC digital sales. So there's no PC digital sales included in the Madden, and of course any Nintendo title is not included. I gotta go over that every single month because people keep on saying that. And of course, this is North America only. It is not the entire world, but it is the, biggest. I'm not gonna say region because Europe is bigger, but more money is spent and more games, I think, are bought here, if I'm not mistaken, than Europe. Like, this is the biggest market. But Madden's #1, not a surprise. Monster Hunter World #2, basically #2 because it released on Steam last month. Even though this game came out in January and it's like Capcom's biggest game of all time, because it released on Steam, it all the way shot up to #2. Then you got Rainbow Six Siege and Grand Theft Auto 5 at 3 and 4. Grand Theft Auto 5, of course, is a game that, the remaster came out in 2014, if I'm not mistaken, and Rainbow Six Siege came out in December of 2015. Look at the legs on these two titles to still be here all these years later. When they talk about games as a service and getting that daily revenue, right? They also look at this, bringing in new people every single month. The publishers out there, developers, they see Rainbow Six Siege and Grand Theft Auto 5 continuously chart every single month. They want that. That's why a lot of them kind of go after that games as a service thing. Then you have Nintendo at Mario Kart 8 at #5, Naruto to Boruto, Shinobi Striker at 6, God of War still hanging in there at #7, and then Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 That's right, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, which I believe came out in 2009, as Modern Warfare 1 was 2007. And this is entirely because it released on backwards compatibility. You know, I always hear a lot of people say nobody plays old games. Nobody cares about all that old stuff. You know, Xbox has backwards compatibility for free, which means if you own the games, you can play the games, right? But clearly, a lot of people went out and rebought Modern Warfare 2 so much that it actually outsold Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, Minecraft, Far Cry 5, Crash Bandicoot, a lot of titles on here. And this is a game from 2009. Now, you could argue that it's Call of Duty, so it's extremely popular and it's coming to BC for the first time. But the fact that it charted here in the top 10 is pretty impressive to me. Now, the rest of the titles here, you know, Super Mario Odyssey, Minecraft, Far Cry, Mario Tennis, which was, I think, the #1 game last month, dropping to 16. Overwatch, We Happy Few, Microsoft's game, or not Microsoft's game, sorry, they bought the developer Compulsion. This is published by Gearbox. They came at number 19. And then Venture Beat analyzes the sales. This is pretty interesting right here. Madden NFL 19, not only the best-selling game of August, but it had the best sales of a Madden game since Madden 13. So, what is that, 5 years ago? 6 years ago? Something like that. I think that Madden NFL 13 would be Madden 12 because Madden 19's in 2018. So 5 or 6 years ago. So, NBA and FIFA kind of started to kick Madden's ass a little bit in sales-wise, but it seems like Madden's back. For whatever reason, I don't know. I don't know why suddenly Madden is back performing better than the first time it has in 6 years, but it's an interesting takeaway nonetheless. I also talk about Monster Hunter World and Rainbow Six Siege. He says Rainbow Six Siege had a combination of sales and the upcoming update Grim Sky, which introduces operators didn't launch until September 4th, but new players were treating that as a jumping on point. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege climbed the chart from the 9th ranked position in July, become the 3rd best-selling game of August. Performance was driven by the free-to-play period that ran August 16th to the 20th, in conjunction with the six major Paris 2018 esports tournament and associated retail and digital promotion. So they constantly always do those things, and they do the free-to-play. They get people hooked, and then you could buy the game for super cheap. And people, Rainbow Six Siege is one of the best games of the gen. One of, if not the best multiplayer game of this generation. So it's no surprise people are constantly coming back for those free updates. Of course, they talk about Grand Theft Auto 5 here. It's the 4th best-selling game of the year, and is now the 5th best-selling title of 2018 year-to-date. It's never going to die. I don't know what happens. I think people just go to the store, and they buy a system, and they just automatically pick up Grand Theft Auto 5. But maybe it's not necessary for the single player. You think Grand Theft Auto 5, at least I think, hey, I'm in it for the single player. But it's clear to me now, I think it's clear to everybody else watching, that its legs, its durability is basically because of Grand Theft Auto Online. How that will affect the future Grand Theft Auto game, Grand Theft Auto 6, I don't know. Hopefully it won't affect it too much, because I don't care about Grand Theft Auto Online. I care about Grand Theft Auto 6, the single player. It's going to be interesting to see how, Red Dead Redemption 2's multiplayer takes shape. We haven't seen anything from that yet, and I'm a little bit worried. But, Grand Theft Auto 5 is never going to die. And they talk about Call of Duty here, and the title was added to Xbox One Backwards Compat on August 28th, propelling the title up to number 8 on August bestsellers chart. And Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 finished July as the 321st best-selling game of the month. So yeah, it came back with a vengeance. EA was the top-selling publisher in August, but Nintendo is the top-selling publisher of 2018 year-to-date, and that's pretty impressive in my opinion. I love these charts. They go over the best-selling games of the year. Far Cry 5 and God of War, no change. Those have been kind of 1 and 2. You have Monster Hunter World, jumping up there to number 3. I mean, think about this. A Monster Hunter game in North America is going to be in the top 10 when it's all said and done for best-selling games of the year. Capcom must be extremely happy. Madden, after 1 month of sales, is number 4. And then you got Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty World War II, Dragon Ball FighterZ, Mario, NBA, Super Mario Odyssey. And these are the last best-selling games of the rolling 12 months, which is basically September to September, or August to August, rather. Call of Duty, NBA, Destiny, Super Mario Odyssey, Far Cry, and then here's God of War. And then I like comparing the Xbox One charts to the PlayStation 4 charts. Very similar with Madden here. And then you got God of War at number 2, Rainbow Six Siege here at number 2, but number 5 here. Grand Theft Auto 3 here, but 4 here. PUBG, which is, honestly, when you look at these charts, look at this, okay? We got PlayStation 4, we have God of War, we have Horizon Zero Dawn, we have Detroit Become Human, we have MLB 18 The Show. All PlayStation exclusives, all in the top 10. When you look at Xbox, it's just PUBG, and I know that's technically non-exclusive because you can play it on PC, but it is a console exclusive, and people love it. 9 million sold on Xbox. Does really well. It's the only game here. There's no Sea of Thieves, there's no State of Decay 2, there's no Halos, and there's no Gears. Of course there'd be no Halo and Gears because those games are older, but you would think maybe Sea of Thieves and State of Decay 2 would still be in the top 10, and I think this is where Game Pass might have an adverse effect. While it may help with the advertising and the virality of it in the beginning, like when it launches, like when State of Decay 2 launched and it surprised everyone by being number 1 because everybody was playing it, everyone's friends, whether they bought it or bought it on Game Pass, there was kind of like that peer pressure to play it, but then the second month it just dropped off the charts. Same thing with Sea of Thieves. So I wonder if Game Pass helps in the very beginning to help sell more copies, full price copies, but the more time goes along, the months removed from launch, that people aren't really interested in Sea of Thieves and State of Decay, and if they are, they just would rather opt to try it out for $10. So more people would be opting to subscribe to Game Pass and not actually buy the games. It's going to be pretty interesting to see what happens in October or September when Forza Horizon 4 launches, as that basically is going to be the biggest Xbox exclusive game to launch in Game Pass. It's going to be interesting to see how that one performs in the charts and where it stays. I mean, yes, it's a racing game, but it typically has long legs. And then, of course, you have We Happy Few. Now, you notice here, it's number 10 on PlayStation, not at all on the Xbox chart. Now, this is a studio that Microsoft bought, but Xbox users didn't buy, at least enough to get in the top 10. And I wonder why that is. Is it because the majority of We Happy Few sales were from Xbox Game Preview? Now keep in mind, Xbox Game Preview, it's like a service. It's like early access where you pay a small amount or whatever they're charging, and you can kind of play the game as it's being built. And We Happy Few has been an Xbox Game Preview since 2016. So I wonder if because of that, the sales are more spread out for the Xbox One over the last, year and a half of the title, rather than all up front here for the PlayStation. Like, obviously, it wasn't in game preview for PlayStation, so everybody who bought it would count for this month. But I'm not really sure how game preview sales count. Does We Happy Few sales not count? Most people on Xbox might already own We Happy Few because they bought it in game preview. It's a really interesting thing to think about, and maybe somebody should add Matt Piscatella on Twitter and ask him about that. I would love to know about that. And of course, you have the Nintendo Switch stuff with Mario Kart and Mario Odyssey, Mario Tennis, and things like that. And then you get into the hardware, and Nintendo Switch as number 1. Hardware spending in 2018 for August grew 28%. PlayStation 4, Switch, Xbox One, and plug-and-play devices such as the NES Classic Edition all posted year-on-year gains. So basically what that means is they all sold better this year than they did last year. And yes, that even means the Xbox One. And of course, I'm sure a lot of people will be like, well, it's easier to sell more this year than last year because the Xbox wasn't doing that great last year. I mean, I don't know what the numbers are. I saw the leaked numbers for this month. It was something like 200,000 for the Switch, 190,000 for the PlayStation, 170,000 for the Xbox. So they all seem to be pretty close. And he goes on to say that it was effectively a tie in terms of dollar sales between all the three systems. So when people say like, hey, the Xbox, the PlayStation, Switch are all doing good, or varying degrees of good, the PlayStation is obviously killing it, the Nintendo Switch is on fire, and Xbox is just kind of beneath them a little bit, but still doing incredibly well. In fact, they talk about how the Xbox One is going to have its best year yet, which, you know, for a long time, a lot of people thought the Xbox One was a quote-unquote dying platform, but it's going to have its best year. So who really knows? These people do, right? They said spending gains for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and the devices like the NES Classic have driven the growth, and hardware spending remains at its highest level achieved since 2011. Nintendo hardware is at its strongest point since 2011, so 7 years. PlayStation 4 is still the best-selling console of 2018, and plug-and-play systems grew by a factor of 21 year over year, and they're up 400% over last year. That's pretty incredible. A lot of people buying the NES Classic and the SNES Classic, but it's not just hardware and software setting records. Accessories are setting records as well. Total spending on accessories and game cards were up 40%. This represents a record high for August tracking period, and it's up 33% over the same tracking period in 2017. It's also an all-time record. So people are spending money, whether it's on hardware, whether it's on software, or whether it's on accessories like game cards, controllers, headsets, and things like that. So that's basically the NPD results. And there was also an interesting thing as well. Matt Piscatella does a video every single month detailing all these things. Just check out his YouTube channel, which I'll link in the description if anybody wants to check it out. But he actually said the Xbox One X is the best-selling unit-wise and revenue-wise compared to the other platforms. Now, he said like single SKU, which means the Xbox One S, because it has way more SKUs, in total might actually sell more than the X, but the X by itself, when you actually, it's like you have the X, you have the S, you have the S with Minecraft, you have the S with Forza, you have the S with this. When you put them all out there, the Xbox One X version sold the most. That's pretty interesting that more people are choosing to buy the X, but when you total it up, more people, I think, have bought the S than the X. But a lot of people are trying and, you know, really want that, you know, better Xbox, you know, for the big games coming out this year. You know, you have Tomb Raider that is performing really well on the Xbox One X, as well as, you know, Forza Horizon 4, Red Dead Redemption 2 still coming in the way, and Call of Duty and Battlefield. So a lot of people are checking out the system. And then the other story, a little sad, I hate when this happens, is that Capcom has shut down their Vancouver studio, which was making Dead Rising. I always hate when stories like this happens, when studios get closed, because I hate when people lose their jobs. It's affected 138 people in the Vancouver area. I've seen a lot of game devs reach out to the people affected. Microsoft's The Coalition and Compulsion Games, and a few other places like EA have said, hey, you know, we're hiring, come work for us. I mean, Dead Rising 4 didn't sell very well. Even though it was a one-year exclusive for Xbox, I'm sure Microsoft paid a pretty penny to get that. The series has kind of been on this decline, and Capcom today basically said that they were writing off, they were going to expect 4 billion yen loss, which translates to about $40 million in US money, and they canceled a bunch of projects. Now, they never announced what exactly they were working on, but, you know, a lot of people assume that it was Dead Rising 5 and then something else, but because of this, they also put out that they are starting to more focus on Japanese development, that Capcom wants to bring its resources back to Japan, and that's understandable considering the success they've seen with, you know, Monster Hunter, the excitement around Resident Evil Remake 2, you know, the Resident Evil 2 game, Devil May Cry 5. Capcom seems, for a while there, you know, they seemed like they were in a little bit of trouble, but now they seem to have gotten their act together, and it sounds like maybe the Vancouver studio wasn't exactly pulling its weight, as the Dead Rising games just weren't selling enough. So unfortunately, because of this, Capcom had to shut down the studio, and I hope everybody there affected by the closing finds a job really quickly. Anyways, guys, that is the video for today. Hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think about everything in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell if you always want to be notified when I drop new videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.